So what gives with Monica Rambeau? Why doesn't Marvel push her more? Let let's try and let's try and uncover this mystery. Hey there, this is Perch. One of my favorite characters, and well, we'll get to that in a second. But one of my favorite characters is legitimately Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel. She was, and why? I'll give you exactly the reason why. I was not a huge fan of the Avengers title, just historically. I was more, I liked DC comics around that time better. I was very much into the X Men, and I liked, I liked the. I know X Men is not DC. I'm saying these are the comics I liked. I was starting to get more into independence, and the Avengers stories felt that just like not a lot was going on. It always felt like. Shuffling the table a little bit. It's like, oh, here's Captain America and folks, and then they're doing this, and it just never felt like um, much was happening there. So I like so I but finally the Avengers caught me, and where it caught me was with the introduction of kind of some new members of the team, and they shuffled the Avengers deck around, and in came Monica Rambeau, and we got her origin, not in the Avengers, but then she quickly got over there, and they developed her character in the Avengers like I hadn't seen before in certainly that title. I'd seen it in X Men. I'd seen it in a little bit in some of the stuff going on in Teen Titans and Justice League and some other stuff, but I hadn't seen it in the Avengers, and it felt like a very almost X Men like take of a character who was had some complexity, had some strengths, had some had a power set that was far beyond their comprehension, and was kind of having to learn on the job, and also what it means to be a hero and how to how to succeed. And so there's a lot of strength, a lot of weakness, a lot of doubt, a lot of heroic elements because like I said, this character was kind of unveiled with a amazing power set, with a bigger than life huge power set. And so the character caught me. I liked her. I liked the stories. I liked her all the way through, kind of, her ultimately leading the Avengers. I felt like that was just a wonderful arc of somebody who came in as a novice and now was leading kind of the premier superhero team. And I also liked the fact that there was always a little bit of ambiguity to, like I said, to her power set, where people didn't really know how strong she could be. She was still, there's still more to uncover. So not only did we get an arc of somebody coming in with a brand new, becoming a hero, becoming a leader, but also there was it felt like there was still lots of stories to tell around what she could be. And they had this, they did this Doctor Druid storyline where he got kind of taken over by Nebula or a Kang or kind of both. That was yeah. I recently went back and reread that, and I'm like, holy cow, this doesn't parts of this do not make sense. It was quite a like a head scratcher for me to realize that yeah, parts of it actually do not make any sense. But still a good storyline. I mean, I still have very very fond memories of it. But anyway, I really like that character, and I always have. And then the character is kind of put on the shelf for a while with the Avengers, and I'm not quite sure why. Other than I asked this question to the writer at the time at a con, who said that the power set was so powerful that she was very very hard to write. That this dynamic of being kind of a newer face, and she's Captain Marvel, and very very hard to write. And then I heard that some of the writers that came after didn't like her, felt like she was a quote unquote a token hero, that somebody she was included to force diversity into a comic, and so they didn't like that. So when the Avengers was relaunched with George Perez, there was some commentary that sorry, I should clarify. Not this, this coming from the editorial side, not Kurt Busiek, who relaunched with Perez. But there is this, at least I've heard this comment that there was some kind of feeling within the company of she was a, quote unquote, a token character, and that it didn't feel organic, didn't feel natural. I don't know if that's true or not. I hope it's not true, and it's baffling considering kind of how some of the comics have gone today, where there seems like a definite desire to want to. Well, I mean, the state it's not doesn't feel like it. There's a stated desire to include representation for everyone. So the idea that you had this character on the shelf and you took him away is weird. But anyway, so I legitimately like the character, but back in the around 2000 or so, the character largely disappeared. She would show up from time to time. Warren Ellis used her in Next Wave as again the leader and kind of the centerpiece of that team. Made parts of her struggle a little bit of a joke, and reading between the lines, there were little bits that were done there about her character that were, let's just say, not so veiled shots at someone. We don't know who, but someone at Marvel at the time who was, holding her back, or not using her, or pushing the company not to use her. There's a couple little moments in that series that were definite, behind the scenes commentary on Monica Rambeau and how she was used. So, anyway, I'd love to get to the bottom of that. There's a story to be told there, and I'd love to hear that story. I've heard a number of rumors, but none of the rumors have been detailed enough to be able to do a video on it, or to write about it, or I'm getting a lot of guesses. There was definitely something going on during that time to de-emphasize her as a character. And then she was part of Mighty Avengers. Al Ewing kind of drug her up again and used her there. Kind of leaned into the power set again. Was part of Ultimates as well. And so the character has kind of had like this very stuttering comeback. And when I say stuttering, what I mean by that is, they'll use her for something, but it always feels like they're not committed. Like oh, we have to write her a certain way, and what do we do? And it always feels like they're not sure how to handle her. And that is, and I think you see that in the pages. So today, here we are, and we've got, a lot of different properties out. We've got Captain Marvel now back, that mantle is back with Carol Danvers. We've got Monica as Spectrum, or she may have a new name. That's the other part of the problem is they've started just playing, let's change her name constantly, which didn't fit her character. Again, she was unsure of herself, trying to build her personality and who she was as a hero. And so, the kind of almost Kitty Pryde-esque way that she would just bounce around her name always felt wrong. But anyway, so we now have Monica kind of again just kind of sitting around, not being used, definitely kind of on the sidelines. And why? Why is that? Well, I mean, I've kind of gotten into it as I've talked about this video. Definitely, on the basics, there is a uncertainty from the writers about how to handle her powers, and how to not have her just be the Superman of the team, where she can just do anything. In the recent No Surrender, was it No Surrender, or I don't the recent weekly Avengers arc that they did, they kind of hinted at, but it wasn't clear if Wade pulled the trigger on it or not, with Ewing, of de-escalating her power set. Like she lost some of her powers, and now she's going to be weaker. They also have her dating Blue Marvel as well, so they've kind of established a new place for her. But I get frustrated with the handling of this character, because I think it's, like I said, it's been a really good, well created, well crafted, very deep, lots of different layers character that, for whatever reason, has just continually been pushed on the sidelines for far riskier characters. I would say, if you're going to, you want to have a strong, powerful African American woman character. Good, that's great. Representation matters, all that, great. Why would you really lean into the one you have, rather than try and create one from scratch and hope that it takes off? because there is a strong fan base who likes Monica Rambeau and enjoys that character, which may be part of the answer. So one thing that I've noticed, particularly out of Marvel, but somewhat DC, is when fans organically like something, there's almost a backlash. It's almost like the creators don't want the fans to like things on their own and want to control what it is the fans like. So when I've seen this happen, multiple times where fans will get behind an event or a character or a story or something. And by the way, this happened to some extent with Next Wave. A lot of people have this view of Next Wave of like, oh, this is social justice Marvel, and all the creators we hate, they all like Next Wave, so I won't like it. But if you went back to when Next Wave was being published and how it was all going out and kind of its timing of being published during Civil War and some other things, there was definite indications that fans liked this series, and Marvel was ticked about it. That they did not like the fact that they were promoting these other things, and Next Wave was getting a lot of the critical buzz. There's absolutely that feeling at panels, at shows, at conventions. There was definitely that attitude. So, I think that part of the clue for why Marvel has not gone all in on Monica Rambeau is that she is popular with fans. Fans do legitimately like her. And on top of that, the fans will say things like, she is the real Captain Marvel, which is now kind of two things in one. It's two birds, one stone. So on one hand, they don't like the fact that the fans have organically kind of picked something they like to support on their own. On the other hand, they also don't like that the fans are revolting against the thing that they did pick, which is the Carol as Captain Marvel. So Monica Rambeau gets stuck in this kind of devil's triangle of being something that is a homegrown favorite, a fan based favorite, not necessarily a corporate mandated favorite. And on top of that, she is fans really want her to be the character that they're pushing instead of the one they're pushing. And I think that there's a lot of resentment that comes in. If you go to cons and you talk to writers or you talk to people from Marvel and you say, hey, I really like, the Monica Captain Marvel. That's a very immediate way to piss people off. If you want to piss off Tom Brevoort, see him on a convention, say, why aren't you doing more with Monica Rambeau, who should be the real Captain Marvel? Say that to him. You just watch his face. A lot of them will just go nuts over this comment. And unfortunately, the other kind of, and this is living completely in an alternate weird parallel dimension universe, is that there's also this sentiment of, oh, the fans of Captain Marvel, fans of Monica Rambeau are not really fans. They're just trolling because they hate women. And so they've picked this African American female character to pretend that they like, so they can, insult the female character we picked. Does that make any sense? I don't know. I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever. But that is definitely a part of it, where you have this definite belief, and it's weird that the fans of Monica Rambeau are secretly, alt-right white supremacists who hate Marvel. And I mean, maybe I'm naive here, and maybe absolutely I'm naive, but really, how does that work? Like, I don't like that would take a lot. That's a lot of kind of three-dimensional chess there for so my impression is people who are into who are flat out racist and want their race to be the only race and that kind of thing. My impression, my sense from meeting some of these people is they're not terribly bright. I'm just saying, these aren't like the super thinkers of the world. These people typically are, well, I mean, I don't know what generalization, but these aren't these aren't the world's leaders of thought and and debate. So the idea that they would come up with a clever scheme to put their support behind a black female character in order to own the libs on the white female character is just that's just weird. I will say that's just weird. And I think the other part, I think, easily disproven, because if you go to comic shops and you look up back issues and you're like, I would like to buy things with Monica Rambeau in it, from 5 years or more back, like that Avengers run I talked about. Good luck. Shops will have it, but it's hard to find. And it's not like these issues all are like $400 super collector issues. They're not. They are just scarce. And if you can find them, good. And if you find them in a shop, then you can get them for 50 cents. Awesome. That's good news for you. Most shops do not have them. They are harder to find. And I can say this from having to, from tracking these things down, because fans will come in to a shop and say, I want the Monica Rambeau run. So again, I I think the proof is in the sales. I think there are people who like this character, who want this character, who seek this character out and try and buy comics with her in it. And so I don't buy the I don't buy the secret white supremacy plot to attack Carol Danvers by liking Monica Rambeau. Are there a couple people out there on Twitter who will say, "Oh, I like this one," just because they're trying to troll Marvel and they really don't care? I mean, sure. I mean, there's a good lord, there's everything on Twitter. So yeah, I don't doubt there's some people out there, but it's not the majority. And if you go to cons, there's a lot of people that ask about Monica Rambeau and that character and why isn't Marvel doing more with her all the time. It's a very popular character for them to talk about. And so anyway, there's my theory. I think if you're hearing all this and you're like, I don't know who this character is, I'd like to check it out. I urge you to check it out. That Avengers run I talked about. There are some trades and some buses that would have it. It is hard to find in its original floppies. You can get many of these. I think Marvel Unlimited has this run. I'm relatively sure they have this run, so that's another place you can go. But check it out. It's a good run. It's one of the last 20, well, more than that, last 40 years. If you think about pure heroism of taking a character and building them up and having them do amazing things and find themselves, Monica Rambeau is by far one of the best of how that character kind of evolved, came about, became a hero. It's a great story, and that is definitely collector's editions. There was a collector's edition for her with this arc. Again, probably hard to find now, but check it out. It's good stuff. For the people who are convinced there's a conspiracy going on and the fans are not really fans. I mean, okay, can we? There's got to be better things to worry about, right? I mean, there has to be. This seems like a really dumb thing for us all to be worried about. I'm just saying. So there you go. There's my take. What do you think? Do you like this character? Hate this character? Never heard of this character? Leave me a comment below. Would love to hear from you. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notification. Thank you for listening. Support Monica.